What's going on, guys? Chad here with Greenlight Shooting, and welcome to this new video. Today we are talking about tactical shooting gloves. Before we get in, I do want to mention that the Give Rise hoodies are now in stock. If you haven't picked one up yet, make sure to do so. Premium athletic fit, high-end materials. They run a touch longer to help you hide your concealed carry weapon. There is also a hidden sleeve to carry an extra magazine in your front pouch. So make sure to check one out if you haven't already. They run $50 plus free shipping in the US. Now, let's get into the topic at hand. Today we're talking about gloves, as I mentioned. Now, if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you know that my hands get incredibly sweaty, especially during the summer. If I'm doing anything indoors, watch any of my videos where I'm reviewing something. If it's posted in the summer, I'm probably wearing gloves because I legitimately can't even manipulate whatever it is I'm talking about because my hands are too sweaty. I'm a big proponent of gloves. I've worn a ton of different options, and there's one that I've gone back to time and time again, and it's these Gorilla Grip gloves here. We'll talk about those in a minute. But you know, I've never really checked out the tactical glove market. So I did a little research on Amazon. These seem to be kind of the top 3 options on Amazon. So I ordered them up, put them to the test out in the range, and we're gonna kind of compare them side by side. Now, I don't wanna get too deep into this, you know, I don't wanna make this video longer or more complicated than it has to be. I'm just gonna talk about kind of my findings with these and let you kind of make up your own mind. One thing though, before we do get in, is I wanna mention that I'm doing this review sort of as just an everyday shooter. Someone who goes to the range, who cleans their own guns, shoots their guns at the range, has fun shooting. This is not meant to be the best gloves if you're law enforcement, military, a true operator. You guys demand a lot more out of your gloves. They need to withstand a lot more. I'm just looking for something that's great for someone like me who maybe could use a little bit extra grip strength, like, texture, help hold on to the gun a little bit better, increase dexterity, all that kind of stuff. Protect your hand from little things, a slide comes back and catches you, it's not gonna mess you up. So that's what we're talking about today. Let's dive in. The 4 options we're talking about today, from low to high in terms of price. We have Gorilla Grip. I got these at Walmart for $5. We have Magpul shooting gloves. These were $21. Then we have FreeTwo tactical gloves. These are $21 as well. And the XO-T gloves. These are $35. As I mentioned, you can find all of them on Amazon. These 3 specifically, if you want these individually, I think you just have to go to Walmart or something similar. So let's talk about them. All right, first up, we've got the Gorilla Grip gloves. Now, I've been wearing these for a very long time, and the biggest reason I've been wearing these is for their dexterity. Now, when I say dexterity, the biggest thing I mean is just like, I can still load my magazine and manipulate my handgun. If I need to take off the slide and mess with something, I can still do that in these gloves. The fingertips are nice and round, they're nice and tight against my fingers, and there's no inside seam. I'll talk about that in the other gloves, but that's a huge deal with cloth gloves where there's sort of 2 sides of fabric that meet up at the end. There's a seam inside, and it kind of gets lodged under your fingernail, and you can't feel anything. You have no idea what you're doing. So that's my biggest thing with these, is the dexterity is off the charts. It still feels like they're my own hands. Now, in terms of protecting your hands, that's where these fall short. They're not really going to do anything in terms of protecting your hands. I guess it's another layer of cloth between your hand and whatever's going on. But for the most part, yeah, they're not going to protect you from anything major. The one thing I will say as well, after wearing these to the range, maybe 10 times or so, you'll notice that on your shooting hand, this part starts to tear up. I have a hole in every single one of my pairs right here because, as you can imagine, a handgun recoil comes back, I've got a little stippling on my grip, whatever, and it just eats into this. And over time, that's just gone. Not a huge deal because they're $5, I can just buy a new pair, but it is something to keep in mind. If you got caught by a slide or something like that, I doubt it's going to do much to protect you. I guess I should talk about what they are. On the back, it's just kind of a cloth mesh material, and then on the palms here, it's somewhat of a rubbery material, almost like football gloves or something like that, where it's got a little bit of rubber, but it's not so much that it's just going to stick to everything. Like, you can still see that sliding. But it's definitely going to give you a positive grip on your handgun. So over the past few years, these have been my choice. Let's move on though and see what other options are out there. All right, next up we have the Magpul shooting gloves. Now, Magpul is a huge name in the shooting industry, and for good reason. They make really good products. These are the thinnest of the bunch over there, I'd probably say. On the inside, it's almost like a suede material, and the top here is like against the knuckles, it's, I don't know, like a cushiony fabric, and then kind of like a corduroy or something around here. On the fingers, they are padded here. I think they're like leather. I don't know if those help with touchscreens or not, or if they're just intended to help with trigger fingers or something like that. I don't know why it'd be on the middle finger as well. But anyways, yeah, so in terms of fit, they do fit really well. I love how they have this little strap on the inside wrist, which helps you pull those closed. You know, if I'm trying to put on this other glove, it's a lot harder for me to do so with this glove on. So having that little strap helps a bunch. You can see right there. Now, in terms of dexterity, these are still pretty good. Now, you can see right here what I was talking about. There's two pieces of fabric meeting at the top, which means there has to be a seam somewhere. And that seam is inside, and it kind of digs into your fingers a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of that because it takes away a ton of dexterity. The thumbs are sort of the same way. For some reason, the thumb fits really big. Like I have a decent amount of extra cloth up here. All the fingers fit though. Maybe I just have small thumbs. In terms of like loading a magazine, I can still do it. It's not hard, but you do definitely lose a decent amount of dexterity compared to those Gorilla Grip gloves. Now, in terms of protection, these are much more robust. As I mentioned, you've got some padding on the gloves, so if you had to punch something, if something were to hit you in the knuckles, I don't know, like there's some padding there, definitely. These are definitely a little more built up in that area where you're going to catch a lot of recoil as well, so I don't think they're going to wear out near as fast. They do feel a little winter mitteny. They're kind of a warm feeling mitten. But yeah, they work overall. I noticed how they have the leather on the thumb as well as the top two fingers. Maybe that's just because with your thumb you're loading cartridges. This finger you're firing with the trigger, and they're getting the most wear and tear. So it's nice that they have those built up. And for 21 bucks, it's hard to go wrong with these. I really do like them. I wish dexterity was a little bit higher, but overall, a good glove. Next up, price-wise, we have FreeTwo tactical gloves. Now, these are a little more along the traditional lines of tactical gloves that I've seen, like Oakley's and stuff like that. They have the big hard knuckles. These aren't that hard, by the way. They're pretty flexible. They have a nice little Velcro wristband to really lock your hand in there. I do like how they have that little, this is the wrong hand. I do like how they have that little strap to once again help you pull these on tighter, and then you can really lock it down with the Velcro there. Okay, so as far as the glove itself, on the inside here, it looks like it would be dotted, but it's actually not. It's very smooth, I don't know what you'd call that, just some kind of smooth fabric. Up here, again, we're dealing with a little bit of a suede, and we are seeing some reinforcement amongst the pointer and middle finger. Nothing on the thumb on these ones. We do have a little bit of breathability options here on the back, since these are the thickest of all the options. It's nice that they have a little bit of that built in. As I mentioned, the knuckles, these are the most padded of the bunch. So these definitely would score the highest in terms of protecting your hand. If a slide bit you or something right here, you ain't gonna feel a thing. Like, these are pretty dang robust. Yeah, overall good glove. They are bulky though. Loading a magazine, I had issues with. I dropped a couple rounds trying to load it. You lose a lot of dexterity. And once again, you've got like 3 pieces of fabric meeting up here in the fingertip, which means you've got seams all over that you're trying to, work your finger around. So it goes like the tip of your finger, and then the seam, and then the outside of this glove. So it's hard to feel what you're feeling, on small little things. So dexterity takes a big hit, but durability and protection is definitely really high on these, and they're only 21 bucks, or the same price as those Magpul ones. So honestly, I do like these gloves. They're just maybe a little bit big and bulky for me, and especially where my hands sweat a lot, these I can see getting really hot. If it was the summertime or something like that, especially summertime indoors, I can see my hands sweating through these pretty profusely. Last but not least, we have the XOT gloves. Now these are a little bit fancier. They're the most expensive of the bunch, coming in at $35 for the pair. Now on the inside, it is just leather, and it's leather all the way through. It doesn't look like there's any reinforced portions at all. On the back, it's just a really breathable mesh material. It's interesting because on the inside, it is not this mesh material. On the inside, It's like a soft, cushiony fabric. One of the biggest things I notice about these is that they don't have the long wristband. You know, they stop really short on your wrists. So when you pull these on, they don't have the little helping strap, which I kind of miss after those last two. We've got a nice, big, robust, kind of rubbery addition to the Velcro. But you can see they stop right at the top of my wrist, which keeps mobility really nice. It makes the gloves feel a touch small, but I feel pretty dang mobile, I have to admit. Unfortunately, these do have the same issue, big, annoying seam pushing itself into my fingertips. I hate that. But yeah, one thing I really like about this is they have a reinforced section here, which is like I have no idea what this is. Can you hear this? That's the material. It's a pretty hard material, but they have that reinforced entirely within this intersection of your palm so that, you know, when you're firing, once again, it's not going to tear any of that up. I think that's an awesome addition. That should be in all tactical shooting gloves. It's also reinforced amongst the thumb here. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe that's, I don't know, because it's amongst the side, so maybe it's meant with your hand positioning. In any case, no real knuckle protection. So in terms of dexterity, these are pretty dang high. You know, they're not the Gorilla Grip in terms of dexterity, but I'd put them right next to the Magpul. You know, you can still feel what you're doing. You're still fine dexterity-wise. You've got that seam to deal with, which bothers me. They're form-fitting. They fit your hand very well. Grip-wise, I like the leather. You know, it does add a little bit of extra grip without getting too aggressive. You can see, again, they're sliding. They're not gripping onto just any surface at all. So I like that. Overall, I think they're a really nice glove. Durability-wise, I think they're probably the second highest in durability. You know, leather is notoriously durable. I love how they have this section built up. And yeah, you know, I guess knuckles-wise, you don't have any protection. I'm not super worried about that, as I mentioned. You know, I'm sure as law enforcement, military, and stuff like that, you really need those. But as an everyday guy going to the range, I don't need protection on my knuckles. So anyways, yeah, I really like these. They keep the dexterity up and they do have a decent amount of protection. So that's the roundup of the 4 gloves we're talking about today. These by far have the highest amount of dexterity. They also kind of look the goofiest though. You kind of look like gardening gloves or something like that. They also lack a ton of durability and protection. Magpuls, they're good gloves, man. They're a good mix of everything. They're a little bit winter mitteny. You know, they might be a bit warm in the summer. They're fairly thick, like heavy cloth. But yeah, they're good looking gloves. They fit well, and you still have a decent amount of dexterity. The FreeTwo gloves, I think, you know, if you're one of those guys who really wants to have the look of like the Oakley gloves, the little bit higher end kind of tactical shooting gloves, these are an awesome option. They're going to be hot. They're going to be bulky, but overall they're going to give you the best protection if you're worried about anything like that. If you're out shooting in the elements, you know, I think these are an absolutely awesome option. If you're just going to an indoor range or something like that, I think they're a bit overkill, if I'm being honest. Finally, these EXO ones, they're probably the best of the bunch in terms of crossover ability. You know, the leather is super durable. They have that inner hand buildup for durability as well. And you still retain a lot of the breathability and dexterity with the form-fitting style. There you go. There's kind of a roundup. As I mentioned, I kind of want to let you make up your own mind based on your own needs. For me, I think I'm still going with my $5 Gorilla Grip gloves, man. I like the option of having these if we ever go out shooting, you know, we run a big course out in the desert or something, you got wind kicking up dust in your face and you're in the elements. I like these for those, but otherwise, man, I love these. I don't know what to say. Kind of goofy, but they've treated me the best. Maybe it's because I have the most experience shooting with them, but there's a reason I keep going back to those gloves, I think. Anyways, I hope that helped out if you're in a search for some tactical gloves. By the way, my Patreon viewers wanted to see this video, so that's what I spent the Patreon money on this month, with some tactical gloves. I'm going to be giving away all of these gloves to those supporters. So if you're interested in helping me decide what things to review each month and then possibly winning those items at the end of the month, make sure to check out my Patreon. That link will be down in the video description below. Also, if you want to pick up any of these gloves, I do have them linked to their Amazon page in the video description below as well. All right, I think that does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Greenlight Shooting.